Chapter 4. Nala. Nala gingerly made her way across the collection of gritty stones on her way to her favorite. No, she could not call it her favorite place. Not anymore. But it was her most sacred place in the entire savannah. The place she felt most at ease. She continued to wind her way up the back side of Pride Rock, climbing over rocks and boulders that had become easily to scale as she had grown older. Maybe by the time she was a fully grown lioness, she would be able to reach her special place in no time at all. She came upon the crevice that marked the midway point and gave herself a running start before leaping across it. She was halfway to her destination when she rounded another boulder and screamed. Oh, Miss Nala, Zazu called, flapping his colorful wings. Zazu! Nala leaned back against the boulder, her heart beating within her chest like antelopes stomping across the Serengeti. What are you doing here? I should be asking the same of you, the bird said. It's the hunting games. Why aren't you celebrating with the others? She rolled her eyes. Well, there isn't much to celebrate when you're on the losing team, she said. Oh, fiddle-faddle. Everyone knows there are no real losers when it comes to the hunting games. All cubs will eventually learn to hunt, so you will win, no matter what. Come now, join me in the clearing. No, Nala said. I want to be alone. Zazu peered down his beak at her, then nodded. I understand, he said. I guess tonight isn't quite what it would have been if Simba were here. Nala sniffed. She would not cry in front of Zazu, or in front of anyone. Go on then, he said. I shall not disturb you. With that, he took off, swooping around the boulder and continuing his flight down to where the others still gathered, their gleeful cheers piercing the quiet night. Nala continued her climb up to her secret spot. An instant sweeping sense of calm washed over her the moment she reached the pinnacle and spotted the smooth stone where she and Simba would watch the sunset. Nala moved cautiously towards it as if any sudden movement would disturb the memories that were etched into every part. The sun had gone to bed hours ago, but the full moon cast its light over a good amount of the Pride Lands. It had been a long time since she had made it up to this secluded area of Pride Rock. But on a night like tonight, she needed the peace this particular space brought her. She needed to feel close to Simba. She closed her eyes and summoned the memory of her very best friend. Oh, Simba, Nala whispered, how I wish you were here. She tried not to think about him these days because it hurt too much. Knowing he wouldn't answer if she called for him, she imagined how differently tonight would have played out had he been there. No way Ola or Kahina would have said the things they had said to her, because they would not have had cause to say any of it. Because if her best friend were here, Nala had no doubt that she would be able to hunt just as well as any of the other cubs, probably even better. Everything that had gone wrong in her life, the hurt, the pain, her mother's overbearing behavior, stemmed from Simba's and Mufasa's deaths. If Simba were still alive, her mother would not have turned into the overprotective lioness she had become. Nala would be allowed to scamper off into the scrubland, pouncing on unsuspecting hares and foxes, and doing the things a normal cub her age was allowed to do. Simba's death had changed it all. Why did you have to go? Nala whispered. She looked around, recalling them playing games of hide-and-seek and talking about all the things they would do when they were fully grown. She grinned as she thought about Simba's cocky answer to just about everything. I could do this, because I'm going to be king. But he would never be king, unless... Nala shook her head, doing her best to toss out the thoughts that had invaded her mind, unbidden yet persuasive. Tonight was difficult enough. She did not need to start obsessing over the unfounded rumors that crept up from time to time. Simba would never be king because Simba was gone forever. She knew this, yet a large part of her heart still held out hope. The rumors that he wasn't dead, that he instead had escaped the stampede that had taken Mufasa from them, had started soon after Scar had returned with the heartbreaking news of what had happened in the gorge. Every so often they would hear whispers of a Simba sighting. He'd been spotted with a family of giraffes in Mikumi, or crossing the great Ruaha River near Dodoma. But Nala knew better than to believe that. Simba would never head south. Due to her mother's insistence that she remain close to her at all times, and her mother's friendship with Sarabi, Nala knew of Sarabi's network of animals throughout the savannah that were tasked with looking for him. But whenever one of them brought back a promising lead, another would soon return with a report dispelling the news. But there was no news. Because there was no news, he was gone. Maybe if she finally accepted that, truly accepted it, life would get easier for her. Nala looked around again. Everything her gaze fell upon was another memory. Sometimes she wished she could leave Pride Rock so that she didn't have to deal with all these reminders. And yet, the memories were all she had of Simba. If she left, she wouldn't have anything. Besides, this was her home. It was her mother's home, and had been the home of her grandmother. She could not imagine living any place but Pride Rock. Even when she and Simba had bandied about their dreams of taking off and seeing parts of the savannah and jungle that reached beyond the horizon, there was the knowledge that this place would always be here to welcome them back. A thought occurred to her. What if she could live out some of those dreams she'd shared with Simba? Maybe then she would not feel so out of sorts. How are you going to do that? Nala said with a snort. You can't even go past the waterhole. And that was where her problem lay. Nothing would ever be okay if she was forced to continue living under her mother's oppressive paw. If tonight had not shown her mum just how harmful her extreme overprotectiveness was to Nala's development, then nothing would. Of course her mother didn't see it. She had pulled Nala from the hunting games without giving a thought to what such an act would mean in the long run. But Nala knew what it meant, and the thought terrified her. Her mother would not be here forever. Nala would eventually have to learn to hunt if she didn't. She'd heard stories of what happened to lionesses who were not willing or able to pull their own weight around the pride. They were exiled, or worse. Nala wouldn't have imagined her fellow cubs doing such a thing to her until tonight. Bantu's and Pulang's frustration with their lack of hunting skills and their vitriol when Serafina put a halt to the game was an eye-opener. She had been subjected to Ola's and Kahina's relentless teasing for months, but they had taken it to another level after their win. Witnessing the way the other cubs had treated her tonight, Nala feared she was at risk of being banished from Pride Rock once they all reached full-grown status. Somehow, she would have to get through to her mother. Serafina needed to realize that the more she shielded Nala, the more she was holding her back. And if things did not change soon, Nala would be the one who would be forced to pay. She stood up, an idea coming to her as if something, or someone, had placed it directly into her mind. Nala suddenly realized what she must do. She would get Sarabi to talk to her mother on her behalf. She had noticed the way Sarabi had looked at her mother tonight upon their return from the scrubland. Nala was certain that a number of their pride mates had taken note of her mother's bizarre behavior these last 6 months. She was pretty sure Sifu had tried to bring it up with her, but Sarabi was the only one her mother would truly listen to. At least Nala hoped she would. She climbed down from her and Simba's rock and started for the path back down Pride Rock. But then she halted her steps at the sight of a shadow projected onto a boulder. A moment later, a cub emerged. Pulang? Nala asked. The cub took several more steps forwards, her entire body now illuminated by the moonlight. Yes, it's me, Pulang answered. I figured I would find you here when I didn't see you down in the clearing, but how did you know where to look? Pulang tilted her head to the side. Really, Nala? Everyone knows you come here when you want to be alone. Nala wondered if everyone knew why she came here. Pulang answered before she could voice the question. I understand why, the cub said. You and Simba used to come here all the time. We could sometimes see the tips of your heads from down below. Nala's mouth fell open. She'd had no idea. For some reason, the revelation disturbed her. She'd always thought of this place as her secret getaway, the place where she could escape to feel close to her friend. The only one who Nala thought had knowledge of it was her mother, and only because she had forced Nala to tell her. Once she'd realized that Nala's little escape was on Pride Rock, she had no problem with her venturing up here alone. But knowing that others knew about it, that they could even see her, tainted it. Did you need something? Nala asked Pulang, still hurt from the cub's earlier treatment of her. She had at one time considered Pulang a friend. Yes, the cub said, averting her eyes. I, wanted to apologize for the things I said earlier during the hunting games. I was insensitive. Actually, I was pretty mean to you, and it was wrong. Nala sucked in a swift breath. She had not been prepared for her own reaction to Pulang's words. She suddenly felt the same as when she lay huddled against her mother's side. Despite everything, there was still nothing more comforting than her mother's warmth. I really am sorry, Pulang said. She closed the distance between them. I know that you want to learn how to hunt, Nala, and that it isn't your fault you've fallen so far behind the rest of us. I wish I could change it, or at least help you in some way. I didn't help that I was piling it on when Ola and the others had already been so ugly to you. No, that had not helped, but hearing Pulang's apology did. Thank you for that, Nala said. It felt good to know that she still had allies among the Pride's cubs. Let's go back to the celebration, Nala said. I have something in mind that may encourage my mom to let me hunt. Really? Pulang asked, her eyes bright with excitement. I hope so, Nala said. Let's go. And the two took off down the southern side of Pride Rock.